Good morning everyone, Sava here from Football Heritage TV. I hope you are well. Apologies for the background, it is just purely sun at the hotel where I'm in, so apologies for that. So listen, welcome to the Daily Spurs Snippet. Not as much to talk about as the last few days, seen as though it looks like our goalkeeper search seems to be over. It looks like we've done the deal for Vicario. I'm not going to go into great details on that because the last few videos have been talking about this guy, although it is amazing the meltdown this has caused in our fan base. Everyone is now a football expert, everyone is now a goalkeeping expert, and he does this and he does that, even though people like Dino Zoff and Gianluca Buffon etc. have turned around, and Zanetti, and all saying that this is one of the best goalkeepers in the world and will be the best goalkeeper in the world at some point. I'm not saying he will be, I'm just saying that's what people have said. So it's quite funny when you see the meltdown and people watching a YouTube video and going, oh my god, we're in deep trouble, this is a really bad appointment, this is a cheap option for Tottenham Hotspur. And I'm going to do a video later today about cheap players versus expensive players, so watch out for that. If we look at the transfer news, we've gone back to this guy since the news about Vicario broke. The biggest news has been that Fabrizio Romano is now saying we are in pole position, not Newcastle, for the signing of James Maddison. Fabrizio Romano has said that Spurs are working hard to get a deal done. We are working hard. What does that mean? We are working hard. Does that mean he's interested? Does that mean that Leicester City are? Does that mean that we're just working on what that fee or the structure should be? All I know is that there's no smoke without fire. And the problem with this is there's been smoke for years around James Maddison. So that fire's been burning for a very, very long time. Everyone knows I would be absolutely delighted if Tottenham Hotspur were to buy James Maddison. Lots of people saying, oh, he doesn't press, he hasn't got high energy like Ange likes. But sometimes you come across a player who is a playmaker, a player that conducts the orchestra rather than being part of the orchestra. This is the guy that gets the ball in the hole and makes things happen. This is the guy that scores goals, assists, brilliant set-piece taker. I would love Spurs to get this guy. So I really, really hope that when Romano says that Spurs are working hard to get a deal done, I hope that that is true, and I hope we can get that done. No doubt there will still be a huge selection of our fan base that will moan, that will say it's not an Ange Postecoglou player because he was wanted before Postecoglou was here. If any Spurs fan moans, if we manage to get a deal done for James Maddison, then there is something seriously wrong. This guy is absolute mustard and everything that Spurs need. Moving on, so the centre-back situation doesn't look to have changed since yesterday. The two players were still heavily linked with Adebayo of Fulham and also Tapsoba of Bayer Leverkusen. So that doesn't look to have changed. Obviously, the situation with Longley is ongoing. I'll be disappointed at that. I think many Spurs fans will be. But hey, if he's being bought as a backup, he's being bought as a backup. Lots of news this morning in regards to Spurs needing to rip up contracts and saying that Spurs will rip up some contracts but are waiting for the players to come back from their holidays before they do so. Now this is an interesting one for me because there are a lot of players whose contract actually runs out next year. So you've got the likes of Eric Dyer, you've got the likes of Davinson Sanchez, Harry Kane, Harry Winks. These players have their contracts being ripped up in just under a year. Their contracts run out in just under a year. So do you let those players continue? Do you try and get a cheap price for the likes of Dyer and Sanchez and Winks? Obviously wouldn't suggest that with Harry Kane, but is that what we Spurs should do? You've got players as well that are deadwood, players that maybe have 2 years left on their contract. Ndombele, Lo Celso. There are lots of players that need to go. Perisic has 1 year left on his contract. Does the club keep him? Or do we move forward with Sessegnon or Reguilon as a backup to Adoji? Does Sessegnon get sold in the same breath? Does Reguilon want to stay at Tottenham Hotspur? So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I presume that in the next 10 days, once we hit July the 1st, that there will be a lot of decisions made about contracts being ripped up, and hopefully we'll start seeing some players being sold, because we haven't seen that yet. Anyway, from me to you, I'll have another video later, as I said, about the price of player versus the quality of player, because I think a lot of Spurs fans just say, oh, Vicario's cheap, he's going to be rubbish. If you look at our history, our best signings haven't been the expensive ones. So I'll be doing a video about those comparisons a little bit later. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everyone who's watched the show. Please continue to like, please subscribe. And from a very sunny Palma de Mallorca, I'm Sava. See you later. Take care.